Hey guys, my name's Ali and I'm a data analytics manager working in Oslo, Norway. A couple of weeks ago, I asked you guys to send in some jobs that you guys are interested in applying for and also answer a couple of questions. And I have chosen one of those jobs, and that is a marketing data analyst job. We're going to go section by section, and I'll talk about how I would apply for some of the things that I identify in that section. And we will also look at what the candidate answered to my questions and how do their qualities and skills match up against that certain section, and then we will go through the entire job listing. At the end, I will summarize the different skills that I have identified in the job listing and then give a overall recommendation. So this is the candidate and what they answered to my questions. And what I asked about is what previous experience do you have? The person said that I have experience working as a data analyst in e-commerce, the e-commerce domain and travel domain. I have worked on SQL, Tableau, stakeholder management, Python, doing data cleansing, and Google Analytics. What are the top 3 skills you have focused on and feel confident in so far? We have SQL, Tableau, and stakeholder management. What skills are you currently working on improving to automate KPIs in Tableau? I'm not sure what they mean by automate KPI, but I think maybe they're talking about automating reports. A/B testing, and then EDA in Python. I think that's exploitative data analysis in Python. I think that's what they mean. I also asked the person to identify something in the job listing that they think they can help this company improve. They said dashboarding and data visualization tasks, and also support internal and external ad hoc data requests with SQL. Now, I have the job link. I'm going to put it in the details. I have taken certain parts of the job link, and I'm going to break each down. We're going to categorize some of the parts in the job listing. And we can just point that the person's looking for a job change, so they do have some previous experience, as they have mentioned. So the first thing we will look at is the section which is called Your Future Contributions. Now, business skills, it talks about tackling complex business problems, inbound marketing team. You will support impact sizing and forecasting of strategic SEO and PR initiatives and projects. Now, when it says tackling complex business problems, that's really just trying to explain how you dealt with some business problems before and what kind of value did you get out of that. So that's something you can have that in a small summary when you talk about a job that you work for or in your cover letter. Inbound marketing team, if I had looked at this listing and I said it said inbound marketing team, I'm thinking about how can you follow inbound information. It can be leads or something, and how does that move from one it comes into an email, or it can be on the phone or chat or whatever. How does that transcend into something that they can actually do something with business wise? Well, that is something you can look up, and then you can add that to your cover letter if you can find some stuff there you think you can handle. You will support impact sizing and forecasting of strategic SEO and PR initiatives and projects. Now, I think this one is a little bit hard. I actually don't think I could help out there. You will support impact sizing and forecasting. It actually sounds like something that the candidate has worked with, which is A/B testing. Because impact sizing using A/B testing and then forecast based on those results, that might be one thing. So that's maybe something that I personally wouldn't focus on that much. But if that tells you something, then of course that is something you can talk about. If you look at the candidate, they've done a lot of stakeholder management. I think that's one of the strongest things they can tie into this. And like I said, the A/B testing might be something you can use in impact sizing. So business skills, there are a couple things that would follow over on this section. If we look at communication skills, overcoming the challenge of communicating results in a concise yet simple way, foster alignment between engineering and business stakeholders. In terms of communication, I guess that's as simple as, you're writing a good resume, a good cover letter. It seems simple, concise, and that is something that will come through in your application if you can be that. Foster alignment between engineering and business stakeholders. That can mean a lot, because engineering could be data, it could be the engineering team, that you are the bridge between engineering and business stakeholders. So if I were to say, try and respond to that part, I would talk about what kind of experience I have, if I have any, with data modeling, and explaining between, maybe talk about some business case where you understood the case, and you knew how to also technically pass that on to the data engineers. I see that the candidate has written stakeholder management and SQL. So stakeholder management might be the business side here. SQL might be what is on the engineering side, and they're standing in between, bridging it. So that could be something that they can point out that I know that might respond to this. Technical skills, easily manipulating large data sets. There I would talk about SQL, which the candidate also have. And of course, it depends. It could also be a data warehousing tool, or you just want to pinpoint that you understand data warehousing concepts. Manipulating large data sets can mean a lot. Actionable insights and visual appealing analysis. Of course, there I would talk about dashboards, my experience with that. The person can bring out their Tableau experience. Key role in the design, maintenance, and operation of the required data sources. I think this sounds more like a data engineering task. I've never been a data engineer per se, but I've done a lot of data engineering tasks in different projects. So that's something that I would know how to respond to. I'm unsure if the candidate would be able to respond to that based on what they've written. Maybe not, and it also depends on the company. How much do they put into the design, maintenance? Especially maintenance doesn't sound like a data analyst part when it comes to required data sources, but it can mean a lot of different things. But I would, if I had some experience with data modeling or just my experience with dealing with integrating with different data sources, that's something that I can use to respond to this. Who are you? So here we are more onto personality traits, and this is somewhere I think a lot of you guys can win quite a lot without knowing about it, because you're not going to get your personality traits in a certificate. You're not going to find them in a join. You're going to find them in the person that you are and the way you present yourself. Taking smart risks and staying agile, being responsible and challenging the status quo by finding simple solutions to hard problems. Now here is a lot of things you can grab onto. Taking smart risk is just that you are willing to take a risk. You're willing to take a decision, and that is something you can definitely communicate. Staying agile is, if you know anything about agile development, that is something that you can kind of, how can I say this, bring in through the back door. You can talk about how you have an agile mindset as a person, but also how you can tie that against you understand agile development, which they might use because they're mentioning agile here. Challenging the status quo by finding simple solutions to hard problems. I think the candidate has talking about stakeholder management. I think that's something you can drag out here, but of course this is also a chance for you to talk about a time when you at some different company or in some different situation challenged what they were doing. You're saying, hey, I know a better way of doing this. Should we do this instead? I see that you guys are making manual reports this way. Can we automate it that way? I see that you guys are spending a lot of time on distributing reports. Can we instead distribute them another way? There's just about seeing issues and trying to find simple solutions. And there, you should be able to look at projects and try and find some things there that you can drag out and pinpoint against that. Be part of and grow an exceptionally talented team. And I guess that's where you got to talk about your team experience with working in teams and how you have kind of really taken part of that. Now, the candidate hasn't written that much about their personal skills, and I actually just realized that next time I do this, I might want to ask personal questions that are also related to personality traits, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and that is that the person enjoys working in a team, and it's just really finding some good examples of that. How you'll add value, probably one of the more important sections. Now, business skills, actionable insights for department stakeholders. There I'm thinking not only dashboards, but also helping them identify insights in their dashboard so that they can take actions. Do you have any examples of that? Clear and actionable recommendations. Ties a little bit back into the previous thing. How good are your dashboards at communicating what the end users should do? How can you kind of pinpoint how you have helped drive analysis and solutions, which enables clear and actionable recommendations. Internal and external, I think that's quite interesting because it's very different to communicate with internal and external parts of a business. So there, if you have some exposure to dealing with external requests, I think that would be very useful to talk about, and that it could be something as simple as internally we use dashboards. External reporting is always on mail because we don't have dashboards available for external users. It could be something simple as that. Impact assessment and research. A little bit general, I think, but impact assessment, like I said, that could be A/B testing. That they run two different scenarios and they see how that impacts something, but it can mean a lot of different things. Maintain inbound marketing as key metrics. I think that's something that most of you guys should be able to answer. And if you take out the inbound marketing thing, how do you maintain key metrics? How do you keep it consistent? How do you make sure that the calculations are right? Documentation. that's there's different examples you can do to communicate that you understand how to do that. Actually, now I'm jumping a little bit faster, but do I see anything that the candidate can do on the business skills? I definitely think, with this, that the Tableau stakeholder management, I think that would be able to solve a lot of this. A/B testing, definitely. Inbound marketing key metrics, if they worked a lot in Tableau and with stakeholders, then that is something that they must have maintained at some time. Communication skills, engage with department stakeholders, collaborate with data engineering teams. Now, engaging with department stakeholders is, coming up with some good examples of where you have had to deal with stakeholders and maybe explain some complex issues. And the candidate has also said that that is one of their top 3 skills. Probably something they could handle. Collaborate with data engineering teams. I'm not sure if the candidate could do that, but if I were to try and respond to that, collaborate with them is probably, how you can be someone who can communicate on behalf of business to data engineering what you need so that you can fulfill some business requirements. And that is why sometimes I talk about how useful it is to know some data modeling, understanding the data modeling concept so that you can talk to the data engineering teams. So if you could bring up that, I have a little bit of experience with Kimball modeling concepts, or that a little bit about what data engineering does, that's something that they would definitely appreciate. Technical skills, there's quite a few here, but build and maintain weekly automated reporting. It's quite straightforward. If you work with building and maintaining any sort of automated reporting, that's something you definitely want to bring out here. Candidate talks about SQL and Tableau. That is 2 combinations that you can use to do that. If they have done it, hard to say, but that is skills that I would have picked up and kind of tried to pinpoint there. Management and assist with dashboarding and data visualization tasks. So that is, helping end users, training. I would say that's a lot of that, what that is, but also guidance on when to use what kind of dashboards, what kind of visualizations. The candidate has listed Tableau as their second highest on the top 3, so I think they will definitely be able to handle that. Independent deep dive analysis. There you can talk about if you have ever been given a task to solve some specific analysis, or if you that could also be a portfolio project that you have. I can't see if the candidate has done exactly that, but they are mentioning EDA in Python, which sounds like it, but they're you don't want to say, oh, I know how to do EDA in Python. You want to say, I had a business case where this was the case, and I solved it using EDA in Python, and the way I did that's what so and so and so, and the value that created was XYZ. You want to take them to that journey. Ad hoc data requests. Ad hoc data requests, that sounds like getting data out of sources. So that is where SQL comes in and being able to get data out of data sources. Candidate has said that is their number 1 skill, so I think that's definitely something that they can do. Co-define the evolution of our tools and data sources. I think that one is also, it sounds more data engineering-ish, but it could just be that they want you to take part of it and be part of the conversation. And I think the candidate could do it, but if it's more actual recommendations and more in depth, then I don't know based on what they've written. But I think it falls a little bit more towards data engineering. Depends on the structuring of the company. You'll be successful in this role if you, business skills, effectively develop strong cross-functional relationships. So that is, how can you be someone who can talk to different parts of the business, even though they don't represent the same function. Candidate has named stakeholder management. I think that's as close as you get to what that is. Communication and presentation skills, and the ability to explain complex problems and analysis in a precise and simple way to a wide range of stakeholders. So the candidate has mentioned stakeholder management. Once again, I think that falls under there. But here, you could in a preparation part, if you might not do this written, but if you ever were to get to an interview, to actually say a complex problem and then explain how you would then explain that to someone who isn't necessarily that technical. That's a great way to show how you can handle that. Education is, either you have it or else you don't have it. I don't know what kind of education the candidate has. Me personally, I don't have a bachelor's, or I guess I have a master's degree in something that's somewhat close, but my education is not that heavily here, so I wouldn't really know what to say here, except of course I have my experience. I do want to point out profound knowledge about statistics. I haven't seen one thing in this job listing so far that says that you need to have profound knowledge about statistics. So I just wanted to mention that. I see that in job roles every once in a while, and it makes you wonder, you know, where does that come in? Where does that reflect in what they are writing? I don't know, but it's there. Personality traits: team player, analytical, and curious mindset. And I think that's something that will come out through your personality if you are showcasing that. The fact that you are applying for this kind of job says that you are analytical and you most likely have a curious mindset. I can't really comment of if the candidate has those traits, but we'll give the individual the benefit of the doubt. Technical skills: 2 to 3 years of proven data processing experience in SQL coding. You know, that is one of those. You know, sometimes when I see 2 to 3 years, just because, you know, you can work on something for 3 years, and there can still be someone who's done it for 1 year that knows more about it than what you learn in 3 years. Some people learn faster, some people learn slower, some people, you know, are more focused during that year, some people need more time. So to be able to respond to that, you could always say that, hey, I haven't worked with this for 3 years, but I can explain I can showcase some advanced concepts that I've applied that would maybe, you know, be someone who has worked more intensively with it for a shorter amount of time than 3 years, but I can still do some of the things that a person who's worked with for 3 years can do. That's something you could try to pull off if you haven't worked with it for 2 to 3 years. Candidate says that SQL is their top skill set, so I think they have a good chance. Python and R says that they are working on EDA and Python, so that is something they could pull out. Once again, if you have a portfolio and you use some of those technologies, that's something good you could use there. Otherwise, it says it's a plus, so it's not a must. Data visualization tools. This is, once again, if you have a portfolio, that's great here. If you can show some examples. Candidate has worked with Tableau, so they should be able to showcase some examples. And here we go again with some data engineering. Solid understanding of building data pipelines from data ingestions to visualization. So there, you know, this is where, if you have a portfolio or some examples you can talk about, and that is something you can bring out here. I see that the candidate has written SQL. They might have done some data pipelines, ETL stuff with SQL, but it's hard to say. I do find it a little bit weird that it is here in a marketing data analyst role, but it's there, and depending how important it is to them that you can actually do that hands-on, I guess you would just have to adjust and try and answer as well as possible. So if we look at the summary of the different skills, you know, there's 12 personality traits, 2 educational skills. I put a star on the education stuff because that takes up quite a lot of time. Communication skills 8, business skills 12, technical skills 19. The reason I've summarized this is because we have a box now with all of the different, I would say, soft skills. And then you have technical skills. So if you are applying to this, you see how many different places you can apply your business skills, communication skills, and personality traits. Then you have technical skills. Now, of course, if you go through this and you count it, this is just a rough estimate of what I picked up on, but it does speak a little bit about how you can look at different parts of a job listing and use different skill set that doesn't necessarily have to be technical to be able to prove your worth. For a possible job that you are interested in. Now, my thoughts. Do I think the candidate can get this job? I think so, if they can, you know, if they can communicate what they are good at, because they are good at a lot of things that they are looking for, but there are some obvious things that they are also looking for that I definitely cannot identify here, such as the data ingestion, and it really depends how much the company you know, need you to know that. But SQL, Tableau, and stakeholder management goes, you can see it repeats throughout the listing. Would I apply for this job? I do want to point out that it did say that this was a associate level position. I don't know if that is right or wrong, but still, it says that the candidate definitely have experience, but it doesn't say how long of a time. I don't think this is a entry-level associate job. I think there are some things here that takes much longer time to develop, and because of that, if I was starting out, I would be skeptical, because it's hard to fulfill those expectations. Today, if I was looking for a job and I was like, this seems interesting, I definitely would apply, because I think it's a good company. they have an engineering team. It seems like they have, it seems like they are working agile. It seems like they are doing a lot of interesting things. So in that case, I would. How can the candidate improve to get this job? I would say that if the candidate had listed some data modeling and some more about data ingestion and just the communication around that, I think that could have been a good thing here. Otherwise, stakeholder management is quite broad. I see that they've when I asked them to identify something in the job listing they think they could improve, they said dashboarding and data visualization tasks, support internal and external ad hoc data requests. So it's very much, how can I say this? The person has identified themselves as someone who is performing tasks. They are doing requests on demand as it comes in. There's not that much about how can they change the direction, or how can they try and be a visionary, or try to teach or enable. And that's maybe something that I would also try to play more on, especially if they have done a lot of stakeholder management, and depending on how good they are in SQL and Tableau, you can also try and sell yourself as an enabler, and not only someone who is solving technical and business demands that are coming in, because there are different ways of showing your value to a company. Those are some of my thoughts on how I would prepare for this job, how I would pinpoint some things, and how I would try to figure out how I could respond to what they are actually looking for, and also some of my thoughts on how I think the candidate compared to what they are looking for. Now, this is the first time I'm doing this, so let me know in the comments what you guys think about this, because I can do more videos like this. I can ask you guys for more job listings. I can ask you guys to tell me a little bit more about yourself, and we can do more of these so I can help you guys prepare for more jobs out there. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos on data and analytics, then subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.